Oh, I didn't see you there. Here I am just playing this game in this hardcore battle encounter with 4 skeletons. What? Yeah, I'm not, you say? Let's just pan the screen a little. There we have it. I don't even need to be in battle for me to win. That's the joys of playing as the Summoner. You might be wondering how you yourself can build this monstrosity of a character? Well, just use the character creation tool in the beginning of the game. Bye! Nah, seriously though, let's get started. The summoning skill tree is an interesting one. It encompasses basically 1 damaging ability in the form of a Dimension Bolt, 2 summoning abilities, those being able to summon the Incarnate and Totems, and buffs for either the Incarnate and or your allies. What's interesting is that summons are not buffed by intelligence and are solely based on your character level and your summoning level. That means you do not need to be a mage at all to become a summoner. Summoner Fighter, Summoner Ranger, hell, Summoner Rogues are all viable builds. I mean, then again, what really isn't in this game? Leveling up seems to give summons the same boost that you do in terms of vitality, which is usually an increase to health by 40%. Every point in summoning increases their magic armor, physical armor, damage, and vitality by 10%. If you want the most effective summon possible, you should probably spec the skill early and try to max it first, but you probably already figured that. Other skill trees have summons too. For example, the Necromancer tree has the Bone Widow and Bloated Corpse, and Defon has the Source skill which summons the Wolf. All of these scale off of the summoning ability. Be warned, you can only have 1 active on the battlefield. If you summon another creature while you have 1 out, the creature already in play will disintegrate into nothing and ask what you did wrong as he fades into the netherworld. Oh shit, sorry, wrong button. Summoning an Incarnate on a surface affected by environmental effect will turn that little bugger into the element it spawns on. This can be either fire if it's fire, water if it's water, poison if it's poison, blood if it's blood, earth if it's oil, or air if it's a cloud. It does not matter what kind of cloud it is, it will always be electricity even if it's smoke or electrified or whatever. The damage that the Incarnate will do also depends on this in the same way. A poison Incarnate will do poison damage and etc. Blood of course gives it more physical damage than a normal Incarnate. Do keep this in mind as I frequently summoned elemental Incarnates in fire to attack a dude, only realizing I just spent the last 10 turns stripping off his physical armor while leaving his magic armor untouched. At least he looks cool. Later on, you'll be able to learn spells that transform the Incarnate to different types without having to summon them on a specific surface. This requires points in the applicable schools. I recommend not even worrying about these skill books at all. If you have a mage in your party, you should have access to any kind of ground source you want, so it's usually a waste. All thanks to the invisible leeching off other members' talent that we got. At level 10 summoning, these little guys transform into a rampaging beast called the Champion Incarnate. They gain a flat buff to their base stats as well as increasing in size. And don't take my word for it, she says size does matter. Totems on the other hand never gain enough health to survive any direct attack. They're also autonomous and attack by themselves. Luckily, the enemy usually does not directly focus them, and they only get killed if you place them too close to your allies and the enemy does an area of effect attack. Even if they do attack them, at least it's not you, right? They die after 3 turns, and you can summon 1 every turn. This means that you can have up to 3 at any time in play. Since they usually deal as much damage as a basic attack, it's usually in your best interest to summon 1 every turn, spacing them out so they don't die all at once. Your first step, as always, is to define the race of your character. In my mind, summoners are deep, dark creatures who dwell underground, so don't pick dwarf. Seriously though, I like to play summoners far back so the racial petrifying touch doesn't do much, since it's basically melee range. Plus everyone hates sneaking, and your Incarnate will be the meat shield, making the vitality boost suboptimal as well. Sorry dwarf. Lizards suffer from the same problem as dwarves, a lot of stats and skills that summoners don't really care for. Do you really need the fire breath when most likely your Incarnate is going to be the front line? Though I can see the synergy with making him fire anytime you want. Humans are distinctly in the I don't play race, at least for me, due to the lack of flavor. When I'm playing a fantasy RPG centered around the lore and story, it seems lackluster to play as yourself. Critical strike chance doesn't translate into your Incarnate in any way, and the initiative only applies to you and not the thing you summon. Encourage is great for your allies and summon though, as the Incarnate usually has way higher base stats than any of your party members. I'd prefer your party members be the ones who cast Encourage to buff you up though. Me knowing that if I went human, my friends would always tell me to spam Encourage on my turn, so I would have that awkward 1 AP left. That's why I believe elves are the best race to go for summoning. Flesh Sacrifice is such a good tool. When you cast self-harm on your elf arm to give your elf harm, you not only get a damage increase, but a quintessential 1 AP. The summoner skills rely on this 1 AP to buff the incarnate, so it pretty much is a free upgrade for them. Not only that, but when you cast Flesh Sacrifice, you get a pool of blood at your feet. This pool is a free environmental surface. It gives more damage to incarnates and totems when spawned on, not even having to rely on your mage to cast the surface. Undead skills don't offer that much to a summoner, as they replace each racial active with their own called Play Dead. I guess it would be useful if you're trying to solo the game and want the incarnate taking the bulk of the damage. I don't see why you'd want a person who only heals off of poison to be the most likely one next to your healer though in the backline. I'd stick with an elf, and if you really have to, I'd go with the vanilla human as the second option, strictly because of the encourage spell. So here's the juicy details. I'm going to assume you guys are playing as an elf. I chose Sebille to be my summoner. Since summoner doesn't rely on any of your main attributes, you have the option of sideloading any other class with your summoning. I strongly recommend becoming a ranger. Ranger gives you, for one, access to finesse armor, which usually splits magic armor and physical armor equally. This way, you yourself won't get cheesed by the enemy and crowd controlled before the fight even starts. The Huntsman skill tree isn't a necessity to max. Every point in Huntsman only gives you 5% extra damage from high ground specifically. If you were going into Scoundrel or Warfare, for example, you'd want to max those trees because they would give you raw damage as well as utility. This way, you won't feel bad for leaving Huntsman at rank 2 for a large portion of the game. 3. Ranger's abilities are situational. It's in the Ranger's best interest to always strike from high ground, abusing range of your spells and the damage increase. The bad part is, they aren't very mobile apart from the blink tactical retreat. Crossbows also reduce their movement by 1 in replacement for more damage. This way, if your ranger can't get to high ground, instead of wasting time moving them and making them do nothing and value that turn, you can just start summoning incarnates and totems. Did the enemy walk behind a pillar and you can't range them from where you are? Just spawn a totem. Did your mage get rid of their magic armor but they still have physical armor? Spawn an elemental totem or incarnate in the almost 100% guaranteed fire surface that always somehow ends up appearing in a fight. It's just super flexible of a build. As a summoner, you will only need 4 skills from the tree to be effective all game. Summon Incarnate, Summon Totem, Power Infusion, and Farsight Infusion. That's it. 3 of those skills you get at level 1, and Power Infusion you get at level 4. That means we are free to put any of the Huntsman skills as we like. The starting skills I recommend should be Summon Incarnate, Summon Totem, and Elemental Arrows. Remember how if you use Blood Sacrifice, you created blood on the ground from which you can summon totems and incarnates who are buffed? Well, Elemental Arrows work in the same way. You can use it on the blood from Blood Sacrifice to buff each shot. Since early game you won't use the 1 AP buff to your incarnates, use the 1 AP on this ability instead. It pretty much becomes a free damage increase. Since you're playing as an elf, you have the racial skill Corpse Eater. The first slime you can consume gives you adrenaline, so why not use it? Since summoning and Huntsman don't take up a lot of memory slots, putting 1 point in Scoundrel might be a good idea. Adrenaline maximizes the damage you get from Blood Sacrifice by giving you that extra attack before it wears off. You can even cast it to summon a totem. Lots of possibilities, lots of flexibility. You get the point. Turn order should go like this. Oh no! A wild alligator has appeared. Sebille tried to kill herself, but it wasn't very effective. Sebille sends out Incarnate and an Elemental Totem. Incarnate casts Walk a Bit Closer. Incarnate casts Attack the Gator. It also wasn't very effective. Elemental Totem is too high level for you to control. Elemental Totem casts Attack. The Gators go raw. Now you're free to do anything you'd like. You have that 1 extra AP from last turn, so you can cast it on the blood at your feet to get a damage buff. You can shoot a Gator twice, or just simply summon another totem. The choice is all up to you. Do you want to take this entire build 1 step further? Most scripted encounters start off with the main bad guy giving his evil speech as well as a lore dump. The fight usually starts at the end when you click on End Conversation. Have someone other than you initiate the conversation, then summon your incarnate and all your totems while buffing them in between. Now it'll be your turn with full AP and you have all of your summons out. This way you can do damage or whatever you want to do during your turn without wasting any time summoning, while reaping its full benefits. I have to give you a heads up though. If you have a melee character and he is one of your friends, never let him inspect the incarnate and compare it to himself. Chances are your incarnate is just straight up more powerful than his entire build with all the rare armor that he got as drops. He will most likely die in a 1v1 against you, and that's just against the incarnate. Remember, Have fun summoning and watch out for trap cards. Thank you guys for watching. Obligatory hit the like and subscribe button. I just hit 50 subscribers and that's just incredible. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thanks. See you in the next one.